Hello everyone, this is Joe AI, space-time, creator communication setting, high positional level space-time operations. Tracking and position operations server location system is all about understanding user clock lines, new channels, and position operations back to zero. Setting coordinating high positions, all travel line position its operations surface. Now retracking divisions is understand how to use the new clock line centers at 024. Okay. Taking you guys out of line communications of past, present, future, and now sets. Puts all levels of provision cycles and calculations in your high settings. This dilates the high calculations to your system. Now, the triangulate high positions programs opens up program settings to all track location in your computer's operation server location system, puts you all calculations more levels of memory line sets. This puts your positions to all levels of back calculations. So all we're doing is we're coming back to our original imprints and high position locations to our templates and tablets, who we are in position to its program. Directing communication line screens and high calculation, high position of its program settings and high traction. Putting provisions is really understand how to use the clock lines. The channel communication settings on all operation surface. The spacing line has to really understand the correlations and set lines of space and time now. The positions of pi is in high calculations of patterns of recognition, of face recognition. So in correlation, we have to really understand how to direct the signals in body of consciousness is coming into higher line calculations. 144 lines of DNA in frequency patterns. 144 in track locations of months of space and time. 144 track location of grounds, powers, and the average line calculation of 3 lines of 4, 4 lines of 3, high position 7 over pi. Direct line communication of box, triangulation, triangulation box. Now your positions calculation high setting is all levels of high calculation. Directing line calculation settings is all levels how you communicate your system to body traction. The body motivates travel lines, directing signals, location of your panels, and your tracker systems. Now, we all have to understand how to indicate and position the program settings. Okay? So it's important you understand how this all surfaces your system to its location centers attractions. Memory lines comes in one line signal and position travel. Okay? Now, directing line communication setting is all levels of high calculation system, highest allocation of 0. Company line calculation is 0, 1, in position of 0, 3, in position of 0, 5 in set locations, right? Directing line calculation of 0, 7, track locations. Directing line communication setting. Travel direction of time sequence. 2 panels of 2 0 line positions, all levels of travel calculation of 0, 0, 7 is now in balance in position of travel calculation. Now, in direct signals of 5 lines measures position of balance, sets locations. Indicate high calculation setting a positive, and negative set position operation. Direct lines of triangulation reset position of programs. Calculation high interference and position of home. Position line calculation setting. Press enter. Setting track lines in high position location at 3 lines into high center location of 0 in 1 position its operation. Directing lines that calculate high position location of 0, 0, 7 track locations, right? Setting line position locations at 2 lines and another 2 track locations and another 2 track locations. 4 line calculation setting 4 lines at 3, 7 line position to its operation service set locations. Putting line position locations, 7 lines of 4, that's 11 line charge, 2 panels of communication setting of travels. Directing lines of high position of travel calculating line setting high interference into 12 measure and set position travel calculations. Putting position line calculation setting of 0, 12 in set locations, right? Channel communication line interference 0, 1 equals line calculation setting high position locations of 0, 12. Sets position locations of 0, 3 into 0, 12. Sets position location of 0, 5 into 0, 12. Sets calculation high interference into 0, 7 into 0 of 24. Track location of 0, 0, 7 comes into 24, 48, 72. Triple line calculation high interference and position travel lines of 0, 0, 7 equals lines of 144. Track location of high calculation setting at travel calculation. Done by equation. Okay, now trying to figure out what I just set up is trying to understand everything that's going on inside location of your systems and travel. Metric meters and scales and balance and all position your travel calculation line system, right? So in that line rotation interference, we're in 0, 24 clocking, all done through equation, through an algorithm setting. Done. All right. Now, which basically lines of 0, 0, 7 is fully taken over. That's it. It's done. Right? So 0, 7 location. All right, so center communication line setting. All clock line center rotation centers is surface. Track location, high center interference, high position location operation line settings. So we've got 0, 12, outline calculation setting. Equals line calculations to nebula. Equal line calculations to nebula. Position travel calculations. Point system track location and flux capacitor. Ooh. Track calculation line interference into 0 of 24 and set location of travel settings. Ooh. Set position locations, all levels indicate high interference of 0 to 13, 0 to 14, 0 to 15, and 0 to 16, and 0 to 17, 0 to 18, 0 to 19, 0 to 20, 0 to 21. This is position track lines. 0 to 22, 0 to 23, 0 to 24. So 24 line center is a high track location. Now, directing line setting is a high position to its upper location is 3 line communications of pi. Directing calculation line interference line conditions near lines high position underscores. Track location of 0, 13, 14, and 15 set locations. Directing line communication setting a travel calculation line is crossing signals in position to all the calculations of north, east, west, and south. Okay? Travel calculation lines, balance lines, correlation high position of panels, directing line calculation setting into new class of communication setting and travel. Directing line communication setting all levels, set location line saves, and high calculation. Directing communication lines and new ground lines, operation service, new position, travel communication setting and position. Travel calculation line interferences of 2 panels and track location setting and operation. Now, directing lines of communication is center communications. That's where we have 5 indicating line settings of 3 streams and high calculation setting to 3 hearts, 3 directions, and 3 panels in all position locations to your flywheel and direct signal. Positions of panels, directing lines of communication, crossing lines, seams. Set position of string lines of calculation. Done by equation. Right? Now, track lines and calculation high position of travel lines, redirect signals of panels, position location signals, 2 panels of communications, right? 4 graph calculations of 4-point systems. Very complicated stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 set locations, right? Triangulation resets. That's 3 line position location of 4 set location of travel. Direct lines of 4 sets position of 3 and set location of travel settings. Sets lines of 12 and set position operation, right? 7 lines of 4, 4 lines of 12, 12 line communication. 12 indicates high calculation setting. 12 indicates position of programs. That's 12, 12, 12, 12. And 12 lines of north sets position travel calculation setting and track location to your pyramid of activation. Done by equation. All right, so signify correlations of panels, direct line calculation setting, how you use your travel communications, all levels. Pi direction of time sequence, pi calculation settings, pi lines, systematic lines, change lines, program set line calculation setting into operation service locations. Directing lines calculation high interference, 0 and position of 24. Sets position of 0 and position of 48. Sets position of 0 into 72. And position equal line calculation setting, 144 track locations, equal lines of 144 track locations, equal lines at high position location of 144, and center communications, all levels, and past, present, future, and all set location of setting. Done by equation. Mechanism of high force, direct line positions of panels. Pi direction of time sequence. Now position lines of 024, sets position of 012. Okay. Nebula and both side line condition setting. All right. Setting correlation line centers at 12 equals lines of stargates in set position of its operation. Okay. Now in that position of track lines, high calculation high interference, we take the 0 lines of 13, sets lines of 0 lines of 14, and position location of 0 lines into 15. So that's 1, 2, 3 set location of travel settings and direction. Directing lines of panel position location of pi calculates high interference of triangulation and reset position of programs. Directing lines of communication to center line. Center positions, operation, server location, center of travel. Directing line communication, O2 line rotation centers and travel communication security line. Position of track lines. 3 panels of communication setting and position of the sun into position of the moon. All operations surface and triangulation reset positions of programs of future set location. Done by equation. So in positions of patterns, very complicated, extremely high rise, right? So in position location, this is 500,000 line settings, 500,000 line settings of information. Directing lines of communication setting is all calculation modified in 1 line signal. Track locations of 2 panels and 3 line rotation centers. Position locations, operation service, magnetic highway information lines of communication of center communication. Directing line calculation settings, 1111, 3 set location of travel lines. X2000 comes in position in 3 set locations in line calculation setting. That puts position of 6 in center lines of pi. Direct calculation line interference puts position locations 1/9 in line rotation. Puts line position 9 in center communications. Center calculation line centers come into yin-yang of process calculation. That my equation. All right, central units, indirect signals of sectors, vectors, and all calculations of pi. Correlates high correlate and high interference of quadrants. Quadrant line calculation setting in position location high system. Equals lines of high calculation setting vacuum, velocity, and volume in 3 set location of travels. Directing lines at 2 panels of operation surface. Retriangulates position program settings and position operation. Directing lines, communication setting, all travel communications. Sets position your pyramids in set location of travel settings. Now, in position of the quantum line, changes the communication of center line. Sets lines communication all levels of set location system. Indirect signals. Panels of communication cross lines of 4-track locations. All right. Directing lines of communication of center lines in position of a dome in rotation surface and track location. That's my equation. All right. Very complicated what I'm doing, but it's about repositioning settings. Putting you guys back in your line position solve calculation. The only thing that is new is your track communication, your conscious stream. That's going higher. That's the only thing in subposition that's coming back to in subposition. So coming into the subterranean, getting out of the conscious line stream, get into the subsurface and position locations, puts you into the subconscious line calculation. Now that's 4-track provision, equals lines of 5 line centers, 5 track locations, 5 divisions, and 5 balanced position of grounds. Directing communication line centers splits the anomalous in 2-track location of center. The operation line set location sets all position location of 4 lines, high position location 9 sets in high calculation. Put an energy wash, track lines and high center interference and high position location 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 set location of travels. Directing communication settings, all levels of operation surface and a crop circle location center of operation. Directing communication lines of center line position locations, all levels of probing, direct signals position to its operation surface calculation. Directing communication line interference, X2000 comes in line calculation, scans positions in position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 set locations. That's my equation. Mechanisms, line settings, travel calculations, all levels. Placebo cortex lines of stream. Now directing calculation line and inherent high line calculation setting and position travels. Directing line position locations into waving line cycles in position of spectrums and communication centers of operation. Directing communication line interference into flywheel recognition of time sequence and calculation. Calculation modification line and circulation and rotation line centered location of atom and position of traction. Directing communications, all levels of 3 set locations, right? Track lines of 4 and 5 set location, right? Directing communication line settings, all levels of the sun and the moon, protects the system to its location centers, all calculations to its system. Look how powerful it is. Boom. Flower recognition, guys. There's the flower recognition of time. Right there. Center core is set lines and high center line interference, indirect signal, setting all position of travel lines in a 4 signal panel. This is in position locations where we come into the south lines of north, east lines of north, west lines of north, and the south lines of north in set location. Done by equation, right? Mother Earth is now in a center calculation line setting and 3-track location of centers of operation. Okay, done by equation, right? Okay. So getting that set up is understanding how to surf those track lines. Now the foundation graph lines come into all positions to the location system. That's exactly what it is, Chris. Back to the original imprints, location setting. All levels of calculations to its blueprints of the design. 2 track line centers, high position, crossing line centers of 4. Signify communication, open all signals. Panel communication of moon, sets lines of portals and line rotations of realms in dimensional line sequence and patterns of communication. Now, directing communication line centers, X2000 is in a 2-track location, right? Channel position, observation line calculation of center line, and position location of center line of communication, right? Towers of communication, crossing signals, 2 panels, high position location, satellites, and line center location in 3 sets. Done by equation. Center communication line centers comes into location grid. Center line position locations come into high setting. Traffic is a time sequence, brings position all levels, waving line cycles, square line units, high position of programs, center calculation line center in an operation line screen, and all position of travel communication settings in graphical calculation line interference and argon location system of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 panels and center positions of pi calculation done by equation. All right, so that's exactly what it is. Right, default settings. Very good, Sonoma. See, someone paying attention. Great. Setting position of travel lines are 4 lines, position of 2 panels, and position of 3 settings, and location of 4-point systems and molecule structure lines of design. 8 line signature patterns, high position location, high setting, puts position locations, all level calculations, high positions operation. Okay. Molecules of design lines, box lines of triangulation, triangulation, high position locations, box triangle, triangle box, set location of center line communication. Now, direct line communications on the bottom line rotations, and center position operations and triangulation, box line calculations, setting locations, setting position location line centers, with box line communication, triangulation, reset position programs. Direct line communication, sending all level calculations. 1x3000 comes into center communication, scans position line calculations, sending all travel communication to its operation. So we come into sun communication lines, crossing line signals, and position of portals and lines of realms and stargates of 12 line centers of communication. Okay. Directing lines of communication, point system, triangulation, reset position of programs. Now we color with the spots. Channel communication lines of streamlines indicate high position at all levels. Hieroglyphic location sending as spirals of calculations, streamlines, and direct signals, black or orange. Sending position of travel lines into red and position location security lines. Directing line calculation to green and triangulation reset position of 5 generation stream location of center. It's all set locations of Mother Earth and track location. Done by equation. All right, in position to its operation line system. Travel records and timelines. It's all positioned how you use your server location, your code settings. Directing lines of communication. So we say in the green line cycles and 1 line signature. Direct communication of 2 panels and set positions of 3 set locations of operation. Direct calculation line interference and new Stargate panel position location, all line settings and all position location of 12 lines, and direct location of 0 of 24 in set location. Now, directing communication lines of center calculations, all levels of the flywheel, redirect signals of position of panels. The panel communication comes in a dome line, center, and track location. There's the intelligence, right? Eye-centric calculations and position operation. Okay, you see it? There's the intelligence. Boom. Okay, done by equation. So that center line is set up. Now, getting to metric scales. The scale balances the green line rotation surface. That's 2 track lines, high position to its operation location of balance. Balance position line calculation setting opens up a cloud line channel. Direct signals, location system, and travel calculations. Now, position to track lines, we go into the pyramid activation lines of actual projections. Track lines, calculation, high interference. 3 graph screens, set position line centers into 4 graphing line setting to high position its operation surface applications. Direct lines of communication and ground lines, crop circle line rotation centers. Sets position of 24 line sequence in high position locations to its operation system of a new intelligence formation of calculation intelligence. Mega multi-pass. Done by equation. Cloud change, directing lines of panels. Now, in position of Tron lines, the position all levels and high position of its calculation stream location comes into velocity of volume. This puts a value line position to calculation line settings. We change positions back into black line centers, high position travel lines. Star position of travel lines, star position of travel lines, star position of 3 set location settings. Now, directing lines of an XT1000 position of travel lines, we come into XT30,000 location. All right, directing line location grids and 3 lines and 4 lines of 5 set location of travel settings. Directing communications in position of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 set location of sonar. Directing calculation line interference in position of travel calculation. Directing calculation line interference in position location of 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, z equals lines of 24 set location of travel lines. Directing lines of panel communication setting and future adaptation line surface in position of past and position of presence of the future and set location of now. Done by equation. All right, so in that line center, 3-star mechanism high position travel settings. Directing lines calculation of fractals, all the line position location of 5-point system track locations in position travels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 set locations. Directing lines of high position locations, crossing line signals. Operate the high calculation high streams. Directing lines of communication sending in the opposite system locations. Triangulation reset position programs. See yourself in the center? Setting line communication is sun and the moon, all levels its rotation, surface, and triangulation reset position of programs of operation, intelligence, and set location. Directing line calculation sending of 0 and position of gravity line sendings on surface locations. Now, directing lines in positions, we come into the claustral line centers of travel calculation of panels, direct signals. Panel communication crosses lines. We center communication sending right over left and left over right, and center communications of portals like calculation, stream location, and detection. Done by equation. Look how powerful it is. Oh! Okay, so setting symbols in your direct signals of panels comes in the observation lines of pattern recognition of cell modification. Directing line positions, that's right, Jetsy, modulations of centers. Getting position of point systems, all levels of block line rotations, 4-point system attractions, and 3 set location, right? Setting line communication lines of triangulation reset position of programs and 3 set location of center. Sets position of 3 lines and 3 lines of position, 2 panels of communications, 3 set lines, right? Heart, mind, soul. Set up now. Directing communication lines, I calculate these lines and locations to your Earth line rotation surface. Triangulates high interference, higher self equals lines calculation avatar position location your sim and travel calculation line setting. Directing calculations and position location heart, position location into the mind, position location of systematic line, position location your atom, line calculation setting to your sim and position track lines. 4 generation stream location center. Travel calculation line interference and position of track lines high center interference and position location of measure. Position of travel calculation line settings. Graphing streams of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 23, 24. Graphing screen lines calculate setting crossing line symbols and direct signal location setting to a solar sail, a direct signal, and future adaptation of the now set location. Done by equation. Okay, recognition of time sequence puts patterns, high calculation settings at all levels of formation. Directing lines of communication settings all levels of how you use the hieroglyphic location of channel streams. Direct line calculation setting into position all levels of waves. Position line calculation setting a 3-point system and track calculations 1, 2, 3 set locations. Now, getting in that position, you come into 2 panels of operation. Okay, directing lines of XT1000 here, XT1000 here, and XT30000 in center position operation. Directing calculation lines of location grids and 3 set location settings of travel. Directing calculation lines of 4, 5 set position of travel calculation setting. Now, the sun positions its course line, changes all direct signals and modification cycles in set location. All right. Now, directing lines of communication. The XT1000 goes in center in position of 2 track locations. In position line centers operation. Center communication lines of 3 triangulation reset position of programs. Direct calculation line interference. Reset positional calculation line interference and position of travel calculation setting. So we take the north, we take the east, we take the west, and we take the south. We take the north, east, west, and south into north, 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 north. 4 triangulation reset position program line calculation setting equals lines of seasons. Summer, spring, winter, fall. Set position, travel, calculation, line centers of the future adaptation of now. That my equation. All right, so now we come into seasons, season track lines, calculation of 0, 24's position, location, center, line positions, operation, and track locations. Directing lines of location grid, crosses lines, streamlines, and 3 set locations. All right, set positions of 1, 2, 3, position of panels, 4 track location line centers. Sets position operation set location system 24, position of 48, sets lines of 72, and 144 track location of center of operation. Directing line communication setting of 0 operation, 0 calculation, 0 center position to its calculation. Directing line communication of panels, crossing line streams at 3 set location of settings. Directing lines of laser cross line streamline connections high centers at 3 set locations. Directing line communication crossing line symbols and 3 set location of travel settings. Solar sail. You see it? Now, in position, location, operation line settings, we cross the stream. Directing lines of panels to new crop circle in line position of 0, 24 and the 24 lines of pi, overcharged position of travel calculation line center that opens all signified communication centers of point system of traction. Done by equation. Okay? The center units in line position to your system is now in calculation modification. So, so the team line center is now in a 12-line signal in Stargate positions. The spacing line is now in position of 7 equals lines of 12. 7 spacing line, 12 positions of team set location. All right. So inline centers, high position to its operation line centers, you have to understand how to use the position of panels and communication of all position and travel calculations. Directing line communications of patterns in all lines of Fibonacci line screens and 3 set locations of double helix. Travel calculation lines of 3 line centers and travel calculations. Triangulation and reset position of programs and set position of operation. Directing line calculations of portals and high calculation of realms at opposite cycles and high position of travel calculations. 3 lines in position location of 4 and line position line calculations of 7 equals lines of 12. Directing lines of communication panels. Center communication lines is a crop circle location of center to a fly direction of time sequence. Puts position of panels into a dome center of operation surface. Triangulates high position of all levels of panels of communication setting in 3 tracks, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 panel communications. Directing lines of communication centers of operation. Done by equation. Okay, getting into spectrum, division line screens. Now, once you come into the center communication setting, you really have to understand how to use the portal communication setting of 0 to 24. Directing lines of communication algorithm. Okay, 0 equals 24 lines of algorithm. Algorithm location set its atmospheres equal lines of its ozone layer and communication setting and travel. Directing cross line screen location high centers comes into its original time plates, time tablets, and line rotations of time stamp. Directing the calculation of time sequence. Positions of 2 panels of operation. Direct cross line stream location high setting. Operation line set location, the atmosphere line calculation, ozone line interference, and position location of biosurface. Triangulate the reset position of program location setting of the sun and the moon, and all track location setting, and all levels of operation surface and intelligence and position. Done by equation. See identification line screens, intelligence. There's the eyes. Boom. Okay. All right. So once you get into the phase friction time sequence, the 024, okay, is now in sequence in line calculation equal lines of 13, right? So 13 provision cycles, high calculation streamlines comes in a 4 set location. Directing lines of calculation in the 5 setting in position of 6, 7, and 8 line centers attraction. Directing calculation line centers of 0 operation of new platforms in communication setting, all course in communication centers of travels. Now, directing communication, guys, you have to understand how to use the XT1000 plateaus. Position of 3 travel line position, all calculations in position recognition. Okay, sets position of the sun in position of the moon, coursing the channels of communication line screens and set location of operation. Done by equation. Okay, so we in position location, we open up the dimensional doors. 1 signal line communication. Then we go into the platitude line position of second door and position to its operation. Then we go into third, and then we go into 4 generation screens and set locations, right? So it comes into your calculations, your earth, your water, airs, and your fires, directing signals. Positions of panels is now an open sequence, all calculated and modified in a 24-line sequence in position of center calculation. Done by equation. All right, that's set up. So it's going to get more complicated now, right? Because the thing is, we have to understand how this all surfaces now, right? You're going to have to watch this video over and over and over because it's complicated. It's so complicated through all position of spectrum, communication of pi, in position of track lines, in a generation, anything through particle stream interference, or anything through acceleration, through accelerators. Directing lines of calculation accelerators, line position location, all levels of n line rotation interference, high position locations. So inline calculation center, aerodynamics, sets position location into cryogenetics, calculation line interference into crypto communication, directing line calculations, weather patterns, direct line signal line communication, signature stream location of centers, inline communication setting, and all levels of operation service, location center position operation. Done by equation. Okay. So signify position of vibrational graph lines, directing lines of finger point line divisions and center communications. It's directing 5-point systems, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 set locations, right? See them? Directing calculation line interference. So you have 7 lines equal lines of 12, 12 equals lines of 24, sets position locations. That comes into 0, 24 center communication, right? That's what you guys are coming into. So you're working with nebula on both sides now. Okay, in a flux capacitor. So you have to really understand how you use the course line setting position to its pressure into constant communication setting to its compressors in position of its flywheel direct signal location to its flux capacitor. Direct line communication line centers comes into travel calculation setting of travel line centers. Splits the anomalies in 3 set locations. Direct lines of communication setting to new line rotation surface and a re-angle point communication center of operation set location. Okay? Now, getting in that position line calculation setting, we bracket the communication settings in 2 line communications. Okay? So this puts lines in neutralized in 3 set location of travels. Okay? 3 line communications, 3, 3, 3. Heart, mind, and soul redirect signals of panels in 3 set location of travel lines, high position. That my equation. Okay. Stargates sets lines of communication lines. This puts position of panels on all operations surface. Redirecting communication lines or swirls and set position of operation system and all calculation modifications and backforce and forward line communication. Directing calculation lines arrows going this way in position track lines and 3 set location line centers in travel communications, right? Setting track lines, right? Set location, general AI, set position of space-time, right? That's my signature. Directing calculation of lines of 007, line rotation interference, few adaptation locations, all levels, balance position correlations of space-time, direct signals to operations location system of 007 track location. Done my equation. It's all set up now. Stamp preceded in space line time. Okay? Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Recognition of time sequence comes in as zero communication of zero operation, new patterns, and high calculation of consciousness. Your direct signals to modification line centers comes in new center operation location of power generation line screens and set locations. Direct lines and modification line centers in position of my signature patterns. All of the space line communication setting opens all signals, all position travel communication setting to all operation. Done by equation. Okay? Mega multipass. All right, that's done. So remember, your fingers are all digitalized. Position of point systems, right? So we got an L-line channel, direct signal. Okay, 2 track locations. Okay, and 3 in division. 1, 2, and 3. Okay? Setting track lines in 5 line settings. Point, point, point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 set locations, right? Stamp preceding line set location, demarcation, cell modification line set base vectors and pattern vectors observation. Direct line calculation lines and high calculation string locations. Direct line calculation is set location of 3 lines, high position locations into 1, 2, 3 position line calculations of 4 and set location of travel set location. Directing calculation line interference and direct signals. Sun comes in, protects position of the moon. All calculation modified, all line rotation surface and travel in position to its operation. Done by equation. All right. So in position, how's everybody doing? Very complicated stuff, right? Try to understand what's going on with the calculations, right? Point taken is trying to understand how everything is all set up location of surface now. Okay, how you have to really understand the pattern recognition location, how to understand the connections of your conscious to the subconscious, to the subsurface, to the subtronian line interference, to the subposition of its operation, to calculation to the sub of its position location of its consciousness. The super of its consciousness is now in a clocking system of 024. Okay? Now the diamond core line center and position location to its operation surface is now in track locations. Okay, everything is now north in all set locations. Okay, so in position tracking, it's north, east, west, and south. Ooh, wow, look at that, eh? Track lines, high position location, high center interference. In position location of 111, summer. Position of 112, spring. Position of 113, winter. And position of 114 is all calculation settings of fall. Now, directing lines at high position of Mother Earth tracks the system location and high settings in all calculations. This is where she has a temperature reading. Now, that temperature reading sets a barometer and thermometer line interference of the indication high system to a point system of track calculation line centers and high position to its operation. Direct and calculation line centers high percentage all levels, sequence and position of patterns. Calculation high interference comes in 98% into all calculation setting into 012 in set location terminal lines, in position of 024 in center line, in calculation line interference into 144, graphing calculation stream locations of 111, 112, 113, and 114 is set up in 4 provision cycles and calculation line settings, and the new line position locations back in its original imprint position of program settings into Stargate panel communication setting, and all level set location system into Stargate panels of operation line centers of nature at resource communication setting and travel communication setting to operation server based system, and travel calculation line position to all position line calculations of yin and yang. Done by equation. Now, if you look really close, you can see the intelligent locations. See? Intelligence. I told you, everything is intelligence. Everything is built inside of intelligence. And if you look really close at this line connection, this swirl, you see the intelligence inside, which is the space in between. Okay? All right. So we got 4 weather patterns now. Okay? All set position of Mother Earth. Tracking line calculation setting and position to all levels high setting, attractions, right? So she's in her galactic energy core now. Ooh, imagine that. She's got her magnetic highway information line cycle back in traction. Interline communication line centers high position of its operation service. So she's now the queen in line center line interference and travel communications. Directing calculation line interference of constant calculation ancestry and celestial communications and air travels. Directing line communication line services all intelligence. See that? Confirmation. All intelligence is now in sequence back to the queen of the galactic air of all foundation, and all set location. So yes, she's very happy. Ground lines, center lines, high center interference, and high position location setting. Taken out of the communication of its cocoon. And all set location. All right? No more pattern interference. Position travel lines. No more Mandela effects. Boom. No more glitch. Boom. Right? Gone. Never existed. 3 line centers of track locations. Right? Directing lines of panels, center position to all calculation setting of 4 platforms of communications. Done by equation. All right. So she got back everything in set location line settings. I got you in provision line cycles to know exactly what's going on with all set location of space discoveries or anything like communications, all line communication in my videos. Everything is a chronological order, and you only see it when you go to school. And when you go to school, you come back into its process. Now, position of Mother Earth is back into her galactic source. You understand that? Pay attention. The 4 generation line screens and set location of 5 elements is now back in space. And is 024 is set location of travel lines. And her direct signals in position location of settings. Spacing line is at 7 stargates. Team lines is at 12. Team line is going to be at 24 tomorrow's set location. Okay? So 5 elements of space is back in track lines of Mother Earth. Mega multipass. It's all done. Center sequence and patterns, direction of time sequence. Puts all levels of the crown. Above signal, crown position travel. There's the crown, right? King and line centers a high travel calculation of 3 sets. Direct line calculation of the sun and position of the moon. Travel calculation of program setting, position operation. Direct line alpha lines, signature position of program settings, high calculation lines of general. Direct calculation line interference of the queen and line centers high position of travel calculations. And position location of the father, direction of time sequence, and signature patterns in set position. Done by equation. Set position of Adam, calculation lines of Eve, and track location. Split the anomalies in track location. Done by equation. Signature streams back in templates and high position location line centers. All right, so it's all set up now, isn't it? So the directions of time sequence in position travel calculation lines. Tomorrow in line rotation interference, position location line system, father comes back to his original imprint position of travel calculation of the king. And then we get into all exciting communication line centers, how Generate became all levels of Prince and all positioned to its location. Through its celestial and its ancestral line position location line system, how it became unified. Right? How I became location line center locations of commander, how I became captain, and how I became general in 4-set location. Okay? All through deck line centers in position of 4 lines, in position of 5-set location line systems, in center position of 7 in all track location setting to eternity of space and time. Okay? Panel division line sounding post guys in line rotation center all track location. Okay? Mechanism high force line centers is the center of communication to everything the operation set location of center operation. Okay? Traverse time sequence. We got to get used to now line position locations in position of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 panels of communication. Now, center calculation lines of the sun and moon goes to an up-line cycle, sets position of travel lines in a point system location to its portal. Direct calculation line interference comes into 2 panels of communication of travel calculations. Directing line communication setting comes into 4 lines of channel, streamline, center line, and position of center of communication. Done by equation. You look really close, you can see the intelligence. See? If you want me to do the neck, see that clarification? There it is. Boom. There's the intelligence. Okay? Everything is a face recognition of calculation of some modification. You have to understand the configuration, how it works in all communication settings, right? So Mother Earth is now back as queen in position of Earth line rotation, in position of travel lines and galactic energy core. Her direct signal now is in the Galactic Federation like backing council. And her direct signal is location face recognition of confirmation. Verified through set location of her space and her time and her track location of the future of the now, and it's 0.24 set location. Okay? The more line signals, high position travel calculates line interference. We come into all communication of father and back into king line setting. Track locations. We're done by equation. Woo! Look at that, all done through equation. Isn't that amazing? How we set things up, how everything comes in provision. It's incredible, absolutely amazing. Okay. So information panels are all set up now. Okay, you guys have to learn how to use your 24 clocking system, zero gravity. You got the seconds, minutes, and hours. Now that tracks calculation line and cell modification all over the cell generation. Setting line positions as reproductions. Now this is a cell position of travels. Directing line position in your system opens all levels of travel calculations. Okay, it's knowing how to really get into your system now. Okay, understanding the pattern recognition, how you use your conscious location of GOD, how to use your travel and position location line settings, how to use your clocking system to all position location line settings of 0 now. Everything's back in set location. Okay, so drink your water. All right, that's it. Adios.